Let's talk about what happened today because, God forbid, and don't you love the media, the same media who got it wrong all campaign are not talking about who won. It's all about Albo. So let's talk about who won. Scott Morrison delivers the message to the public service directly. Not just that I won, but we won everywhere, and you're not going to be the deep state, you're not going to drag your feet, you're part of getting things done. Have a look.
A big part of the way I intend to direct over the next 3 years is there will be very clear targets about performance levels that we'll expect from the delivery of the public service, that Australians should expect to see things turned around quickly, that investors that are looking to invest in Australia, the blockages that often frustrate them, they will be dealt with. Congestion busting just doesn't need to happen on our roads and around the country. Congestion busting needs to happen in the bureaucracy.
Now, Bronwyn, what do you think about the first few days? We had a chat with Scott Morrison, and I appreciate we're the only television interview that he's done since the election. We did so on Monday. A lot of people got an insight into the bloke that they seem to like even more, and that was interesting. He had some public meetings with some people on Monday. We see it again on Thursday. I know there's a lot of action that's been going on, but what do you think about how the government is getting back to work and how it's telling people that it's getting back to work?
Well, I think it is getting back to work, and I think there is a very big imperative to do that. I think one mistake that was made when we won in 2013 is we took too long to be seen back at work. There was too much machinations going on quietly before the Parliament sat, before people were actually out in the field again. I think he's going to Queensland again was a fantastic thing to do. He's talking with the people. He's saying, this is what I'm doing, this is the course ahead. He's explained the difficulty of the date of the return of the writs, and still those tax cuts will still be delivered on the 1st of July, whether or not the Parliament sits in June or whether it sits in July. And I think it's very important to keep explaining those things because it shows the government at work. Now, he's going to have to also tell us who the ministry is going to be.
It could happen as early as tomorrow.
Correct. And I think the quicker the better. So that people know the direction it's going in. So I think that early momentum is very important.
Yeah, what do you think, Nicholas, about what we have learnt or what the messaging or what the statements are out of we're back and we're back to work? No victory laps, no dancing in the Great Hall, I knew we'd win like Keating did. It's pretty sober, it's pretty quiet, and anyone who was actually paying attention to the detail of what Scott Morrison told this program on Monday night was, he's all in for we're going to get out of your life. We don't want to be here all day, every day. We've taken up too much of your time already. We're going to shut up and get on with it. That's always positive.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's lots to unpack in what you just said. I want to start with Scott Morrison's comments today about the bureaucracy and the blockages and having a go at them. And, you know, I really think that's a cheap headline that will come back to haunt him. I mean, it's a classic case of hubris. I think if you asked most people who has been doing...
For heaven's sake, that's a
hang on a second. If you ask most people who's been doing a better job in the last 6 years, the coalition politicians or the bureaucrats, I think they'd say the bureaucrats. I mean, we're talking here about the people... Hang on a second, let me finish the point. I'm talking about people here who run the Treasury, run the Defence Forces, the Department of Foreign Affairs, our nation's airports. I mean, let me give you one statistic. Over the last 6 years, there hasn't been a single fatality at Australia's airports through the landing of commercial airlines. And there's 130 million passenger trips every year. I mean, Scott Morrison's political party has killed more leaders than the bureaucrats who run our airports have killed people at airports. I mean, if you want to ask people who does a better job, it's the bureaucrats, not the politicians.
Who's making the snide remarks now, Nicholas? The bottom line is that that comment was directed quite obviously at Adani. And the fact that it has been going on for so many years with obfuscation, and those appointments up there in Queensland with the nonsense about the black-throated finch, which quite clearly can fly away and be somewhere else, is just typical of the sort of thing that the Prime Minister was talking about. Yeah, your snide remark is just not on.
I've got to add this. Look, I said to one minister about 4 months ago, and I won't tell you the minister, but I said, a strong minister guides their department. A weak minister is ruled by the department. And I said, you're a weak minister. I got a different look from the minister. But what Scott Morrison is saying is the department's jobs is to enforce and introduce...
Execute the agenda.
...the government's policy. And Bronwyn, you're a minister, you know this very well. But when it comes to safety, Nicholas, no minister on either side of politics is going to take any steps to make our airways, our airports, our roads, whatever, dangerous. None whatsoever.
Right, let's talk about Albo.
Of course, that was the point. That's not the point I was trying to make. I was trying to say I think Australia is actually very well served by the public service, and I thought the PM was making a bit of a cheap shot there today,
he
having
wasn't.
a crack.
Well, you didn't make the point very well, but anyway.